about automation, but not about why you should be investing in it or why you should be using it or all the new fancy tools out there, but why you should be really careful that you don't get distracted by a load of shiny pennies that are going to take you away from just getting your work done, getting your clients served, and actually making your business a success. I'm not saying there's not opportunities there, but I'm just saying don't get distracted and forget that your business needs people, it needs systems, and that's what I want to talk about today. Okay, so the reason for talking about this is a webinar I did not so long ago, and I actually spent a little bit of time talking about why it's so important not to forget the basics in your business when there is so much distraction out there right now. People talking about all the different applications you can use AI for. You can get down rabbit holes of wasting tons of time, hours and hours and hours, checking out new technology, new apps, checking out automation tools, wasting time, setting all that stuff up when it doesn't really give you any tangible benefit, and definitely not when you compare it to all the many hours and the stress involved with actually getting it all set up and working. And so the alternative, I believe, is to actually do something that I've talked about in the past and something that I am very passionate about. And that is about, instead of wasting all of that time trying to, automate everything you do and try to using fancy tools and apps that really are beyond many of our needs as small business owners, is to just think about the basics. And if we can get those right, we can consistently deliver high quality standards of work to our clients, get more referrals, make more business, make more money, and progressively remove ourselves from the day-to-day running of our business by actually creating systems. Then once you've actually removed yourself and you've got all the time in the world and you've got systems in place that are running the day-to-day operations of your business, you'll be able to have all the time you ever wanted to play around with artificial intelligence, to play around with automation, to actually put your business, on absolute rocket fuel, because you can actually then have the time, energy, and hopefully the money and the funds to actually get other people to help you do that and play with that. But first of all, you've got to nail the basics. So my point of this is, the key takeaway is that your ability to delegate your work to other people is the number one reason why your business will give you the lifestyle that you deserve. And you might be delegating to in-house staff, you might be to professional contractors, it might be to virtual assistants. It doesn't really matter. But the way that you efficiently and reliably and affordably delegate work out is the key to getting work done without your involvement. And we do that by creating systems. Now, once your business is systemized, once your systems are nailed, then you are ready, as I said before, to automate those processes. But if you try and flip it around and shortcut your way to success by utilizing things like artificial intelligence and automation tools too early, you'll end up automating stuff you haven't tested, which will replicate both good and bad things. It'll mean that no one is actually paying any attention to the improvement and the iterative improvement of tasks and processes because they're automated, or a robot or AI intelligence is manning them. And you won't know what to compare good, like what does good look like? So when you're using AI tools, when you're using automation, are the results actually comparable to what you should be getting? And it's hard to know that unless you actually try and test the stuff first. So when you're thinking about systemizing your business, when you're thinking about creating systems, it's super important, again, not to fall into traps and end up wasting huge amounts of time with using unnecessary complicated stuff. Those systems, there's three things I believe that those when you're creating systems, that systems should have. And that is, first of all, when you're creating those systems, you can't waste your time, or actually even your key staff's time. So if you are doing high value work and then you spend your time creating systems for low value work, or actually then even worse, doing that work afterwards or in the meantime, that is not a good use of your time. So we need to figure out how to get other people to help you do that. Secondly, the systems, or rolling on from that, the systems, they need to be created and maintained by your team, not you. Now, secondly, effective systems, they empower affordable entry-level staff to do high-value work consistently and without your involvement. And finally, effective systems lock knowledge in, protect your business when people inevitably leave, and remove your reliance on key individuals, including yourself. So you can then go on holiday, you can take time out, you can elevate yourself up by delegating down through your systems and be confident that work's going to be done well. So creating systems like this is relatively simple if you've got a process. And what I want to share with you over introductory in this episode, and then actually over the next series of episodes, is a formula that I've been developing over the past 6.5 years. Actually, I've been developing it for the past 20 years, but really focused on the past 6 years when I've actually started teaching this stuff. And this is a formula for getting you to effectively create systems that will help you to stop feeling stuck in your business, to stop wasting time delegating and managing work that doesn't hit the standards that you're expecting or wanting, and possibly like maybe you're scared stiff right now that your staff could leave at any point, and we want to actually give you a system and a formula to remove that fear from you. That's okay if people quit, because the knowledge that was in their head is actually now locked into your systems. And I want to be able to give you the confidence that you're able to focus on your highest value work, because the lower value work is being done by systems without your day-to-day involvement. And in order to, and that will then hopefully, in a knock-on effect, give you a better work-life balance, because maybe your work-life balance is a bit out of whack at the moment because your business is too dependent on you. And so hopefully over this today and over the next coming episodes, we're going to be able to, for you to be able to create a business that will run entirely without your involvement, and to give you the headspace to focus on higher value work, to make you be able to feel proud of the business that you've built and the lifestyle that it affords you and your family, and be able to actually go on a holiday, for example, with your family and not have to take a computer with you, and ultimately to allow you to regain control of your time, remove dependence on key staff, including yourself, as I mentioned before, and basically just protect your business and get ready to scale. And what I want to talk about is how you create, or how we're going to do that, I should say, over the coming episodes, is to walk you through a process of creating what I call a unified operations system. And a unified operation system is basically the blueprint for your business. It is how all of the work in your business is done, but it's more than just operation manuals or videos. It's the glue that holds it all together as well. It's how that work is managed. It's how the communications happen in your business. It's how meetings are run. It's how you hire and train and onboard people. It's all of those things combined. And I've talked over the past 140 episodes, or whatever we are on now, 130 odd episodes we're on now, I've dug into many of these concepts that I've been working on over the years and developing as I've been coaching them and working on them in my business as well. And I thought it was about time I linked it all together. So this series of podcasts is going to basically cover quite a few weeks and months of me going through and slowly building up a picture of all the systems, formulas that we've developed over the past 6 years of this business. And as I said, 20 years of building systems in my own businesses, and hopefully link this all together. So you've got something that you can really actually implement and get results from. And as always, this is the stuff we teach on our coaching programs. I am a systems coach. And if you need more help, if you want to reach out and find out how we can help you fast track this at any point throughout this process, then of course, just get in contact with me. Go to my website. There's a button on there at the bottom. You can book a call with me. You can come and jump on a free webinar. We'll connect with you, connect with me on social media, and start a conversation. You don't have to, jump on one of my coaching programs to get my advice. If you jump in my Facebook group, Systems and Outsourcing community, feel free to ask me any questions. Ping me in LinkedIn, in one of our groups on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help you in any point as you're going through this. So feel free to reach out and ask. But yeah, so the point of this coming series is to really give you the means to be able to build your own unified operation system. Sorry, I get the words out in the end. Unified operations system for yourself in your own business. And what this is going to be able to do is to convert your business into somewhere that attracts and retains top talent by positioning your business as something that's organized and professional, And also that it onboards and trains and manages your team without your involvement and allows other people to manage them as you would want them managed without you having to spend hours and hours training up your managers as well. And to get your work done consistently, as I mentioned before, and basically just create a business that really does run on autopilot. So it's a big ask. And it's gonna be a lot of fun sharing this with you. It's my life's work over the past 6 or 7 years, and I'm excited. So today I want to talk about why does this work so well right now? And there are a couple of reasons. Firstly, there's access to an abundance of super affordable, incredibly powerful apps and technology and platforms out there that we can utilize. Now, the challenge with that is actually being able to utilize the right ones in the right way without getting totally overwhelmed and attracted by the shiny pennies, like I talked about earlier. And so I'll talk you through the apps that we actually use, and it's a far fewer than you probably think. We don't use lots of fancy technology in our systems and our automation tools and everything we use. We keep it simple because I know how much time I have wasted, how many tens of thousands of pounds, and how many hundreds or tens of thousands of hours, or thousands of hours, I should say, I've wasted on actually setting up overcomplicated stuff that I end up changing and just scrapping and it's not working and it breaks and all of that. And I end up going back to basics and going, okay, cool. How do we just get stuff done consistently without my involvement at a rate I can afford? Because if I can nail that, like I said before, if we can nail that, then once your business takes off and you're scaling and you've got more money than you know what to do within your business, then you can hire people to start getting really fancy with all the fancy apps and stuff. But get the basics done right first. And so the first reason is you've got access to all the technology if you know what to use and how to use it without getting overwhelmed. But the second is it's never been easier to hire an affordable workforce. Now, the explosion of online job markets for brilliant, talented, educated, experienced, English fluent, remote workers has just taken over so much of the job market. It doesn't matter what you go on, Upwork or Fiverr or any of these job sites. There are so many people from all over the world now pitching for business. And there's also dedicated sites for specific countries. And that's actually where I'll be focusing one of these sessions, at least one of these sessions, on about how we actually find the right people from specific countries for very specific reasons. But if we just contrast that to what was it like before this explosion of online job markets? Well, if you were a small business only 10, 15 years ago, then the likelihood is if you wanted to grow a team, then you would typically, I'm not saying remote workers didn't exist then, but I'm just saying typically most people didn't have access to it. They didn't know about it. Things like the Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, before that hit the shelves, the bookshelves, people didn't really know about this stuff, about actually being able to tap into brilliant workers from around the world very easily. And so people would then look, as I did, to hire people locally. And the problem with that was just the cost. You had to hire office space, equipment. You had the red tape of actually doing all of the PAYE, the national insurance. I remember I used to get these, if anyone remembers this, I used to get these sheets. They're like A1 sort of size sheets or something folded up. And it was like a rows and rows. And you had to like fill in all the boxes. I had a pence I go through and try and do it all for my national insurance and my PAYE contributions and all that. It was an absolute nightmare. This is predating some of the apps that we're going to touch on in later episodes, things like Xero for accountancy or QuickBooks or whatever you happen to use. And that red tape and that cost and natural wages as well. And the fact that you were pretty limited to who you could hire because it was just who was looking local in your local job market. That was where it was. Like I had a recruitment agency like 10 odd years ago, no, 15 years ago now. And we used the internet a bit, but we were hiring local people for local firms. And that was all I knew. And so this has totally changed this access to a global workforce with different costs of living around the world. It's totally changed the game. And it's made it what used to be impossible. It's now made it totally possible for smaller micro businesses who are even just getting started to actually find brilliant assistance. And what this means, though, is that this explosion is that there's now access for everyone, which means everybody can play the game. So your systems, I should say, need to be up to scratch. So your competitive in a market where now everybody can access this incredible resource. So you need to be able to attract, retain, and manage the right people for your business. And so if you don't have these type of systems, like most people don't, most businesses do not have fundamental systems, and that you're going to be able to put together as you listen through this series of podcast episodes. And what that makes them is really chaotic and overwhelming and inefficient places to work. And therefore people get stressed out and leave, but it also makes them equally chaotic and overwhelming and inefficient to run. And so which is great news, I mean, for businesses who are structured, who are streamlined, who do provide relatively stress-free working environments. And that means that you can then easily attract better people. And once you're systemized business, or you have systemized your business, it actually requires less management. It produces more predictable revenue, and it costs less to run as a result. And it also makes your staff, or it makes it easier for your staff to perform at a higher level, because they aren't having to reinvent the wheel at every step. Yes, you want people to have initiative, but actually you want them to work within guidelines and boundaries. And actually, once you've nailed how to do something well, you want everybody to do it like that. So you don't want people making things up every single time. You want to actually standardize what you do and then improve on that standardization. And that is what we call iterative improvement. And if you do this and you go through this process and you systemize what you do, not only do you attract brilliant people, but you get them to lock knowledge and experience and expertise into your business. So if and when they do leave, you're not left high and dry, you're not left back at square one. And because you've got that knowledge locked into your systems, you can literally put your business on autopilot. And yes, autopilot may involve a bit of automation. It may involve a bit of artificial intelligence. But what I mean by autopilot is that you, as the business owner, will earn money in your sleep, while other people use your systems in order to actually create money and income without your day-to-day involvement. So hopefully this episode has inspired you. If you've not listened to this podcast before, it'll inspire you to keep listening. And maybe you can go back to some of the early episodes, which I covered a lot of this content, but I'm going to actually put it now out in a succinct, in a structured way that guides you through the process that I share with our clients. And I'm going to walk you through that on this podcast over the coming weeks and months. I hope this has inspired you to think differently about maybe not wasting your time on fancy technology and apps and AI right now, if you're not at a position where you can already afford competent people to figure that stuff out for you and spend their time or waste their time making the mistakes. Because I promise you, I've wasted thousands of hours and tens of thousands of pounds, many tens of thousands of pounds on technological solutions that haven't continued in my business over the years. And I implore you to actually get the basics done right before you go down those rabbit holes. And lastly, I hope that today has given you an idea of what's possible in order to actually think differently about the way you're approaching your business, because it is possible to run a business in any industry. And I'm going to share some incredible case studies as we go through this. I'll share my journey and the way I've outsourced, given away to remote work, delegated to remote work is the vast majority of what I do. And that's continuing to grow, including a lot of the coaching on some of my programs, the sales side of my business, stuff I never, ever thought possible to be able to give to somebody else because it was so close to my heart. I've now moved over. I'm going to share case studies from people like Georges, who has a majority of his team based in the Philippines now, even though he's an estate agent based in London. Or Pantelis, who lives on a boat in the Mediterranean and remotely runs a business based a restaurant, or now a restaurant chain. He's now not franchising. He's now opening up new branches. He's opening up a restaurant branch in London, and he's been doing that now for a couple of years from a boat in the Mediterranean. How all that and many more case studies I'm going to share with you along the way are possible if you think about systems first, automation, technology, and apps, and everything else second. So that's it. I hope it's been an inspiring episode, and I look forward to sharing massive amounts of valuable content over the coming weeks and months. Thanks very much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please do remember to subscribe. Please share this with your friends and colleagues on social media and any other means that you feel necessary. And do hit like and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, because that is the biggest and best way to influence how many other people get to hear about this content. And your help and support with that is always greatly appreciated. Thank you very much indeed. See you next time.